very good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Today is Tuesday, March 31st. Yes, tomorrow's April Fool's Day, 2026. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. And to kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
And because Mike and I were like big shots in the TV business in the New York area, we know something called a tease, right? So, which you're not supposed to tell people that you're doing a tease when you do a tease, but I'm going to break the rules. There's a third wall right there. Tomorrow at this time, we will speak with the, how do you pronounce it? Astronauts? The astronauts of NASA's next Artemis mission. You will not want to miss it. No, they won't be in space yet, but we get to talk to them on Earth. That's kind of cool.
It'll be very exciting. And if all goes well, they'll be in space just after the date tomorrow. But, it's interesting that you bring up tomorrow being April Fool's Day. A lot of times there's so many moving parts with these launches that they tend to get delayed to the next day. So maybe it will be an April Fool and they, don't get launched until Wednesday or Thursday rather. But we'll see. It's exciting, though. Biggest rocket ship in history. Most powerful. Super
And then the Trump administration, it's all about size. You know that.
It is. When I went down to tour the facility where they were designing and building it 8 years ago, one of the planners on the project said he's so excited because he thinks that there's going to be car windshields that shatter. It's that powerful. I'm like, you're such an engineer. You're such an engineer.
And he's excited about it, about having
excited about that. Yes. You're right.
I love it. All right, sir. What's our forecast looking like? I see LA and New York are basically the same temperature.
Oh, it is mild this morning. It is warming up today. Now, there are some showers later on this morning into the afternoon, but they're brief. And then that's the warm front doing its job, pushing in the milder air. Usually brings back a few sprinkles, but with that, some really nice weather on tap for later on this afternoon. So we start off clear this morning, but there are some clouds moving in, especially across northern New Jersey. And with that, a really mild day ahead. We have this very mild weather that arrives throughout this afternoon into tonight. And then tomorrow, we keep the mild weather anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees above average. So along the front, we'll see these showers and storms come by. Most of them northern New Jersey, north of Route 80 into this evening. We're really nice and warm this evening. And then tomorrow, another round of showers comes in early as the cold front slides through. So we actually start the day with a few wet areas and then eventually see those showers continue into the afternoon. It's still going to be very mild as you kind of dance around the raindrops that'll be present tomorrow. It's not a complete washout, but there will be some parts of the day that actually turn milder. But by Thursday and Friday, that's when the cloudy weather takes over as we head into the afternoon and the evening. So going through the middle of the week, keeping that above average trend around. We'll tell you more about that and how cool it gets this weekend, because there is a little bit of cool weather ahead, even as we head into the end of the last few hours, Ken, of March coming up. We'll give you those details and take a look at the West Coast in a few minutes.
And before you know it, it'll be the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March, which every year there's a quiz on what are the Ides of March. But we have to know Shakespeare in order to understand the Ides of March. I love it. And you have to speak like with a clenched jaw. I don't know why, even though Shakespeare didn't do that, but it is what it is. All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. We will check back with you. By the way, right now, the temperature in Trenton is 62 degrees. It is 56 degrees northern New Jersey. Los Angeles right now, 64 degrees. So it is almost the same temperature in Los Angeles and Trenton. I love it. Just a couple of degrees off. Very, very exciting to know that. In terms of our traffic right now, we have an issue on the Garden State Parkway. There's a disabled vehicle. Garden State southbound north of exit 142, I-78 Hillside with the right lane blocked. Issues at the airports, just like we talked about yesterday, all this week. It's still spring break. So if you're driving to an airport, make sure you have reserved parking, or else you may get there and find out you cannot park your vehicle. In terms of the Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 20 minutes in. The GWB right now, upper and lower levels are, they're just giving us that weird shot again. But you could see slow but moving. That's going to cost you about 30 minutes in. To the West Coast we go, and in central LA right now, we have a traffic collision on the 110 at West Manchester Avenue off-ramp. There's a traffic collision also in West LA, and that's at West 94th and South Normandy Avenue, and another crash, and this is in West Valley at Mulholland Highway and Las Virgenes Road. It is now 6 minutes past the hour, and the Israel Defense Forces completed a wide-scale wave of airstrikes targeting Iranian regime infrastructure in central Tehran. U.S.-Israeli strikes hit missile bases, weapons facilities, and military targets in Isfahan, as well as a school and sports hall near an IRGC facility in Lamerd, using a U.S. precision strike missile, with U.S. Central Command releasing video of a strike on Iranian aircraft and drone and missile infrastructure. Israeli leadership ordered a shift to targeting economic assets after nearly completing strikes on every single military objective there was to blow up. Meanwhile, President Trump announced that he's in serious discussions with a new and more reasonable regime in Iran, as he put it, to end the war, as he makes a dire threat to the embattled country. Trump also threatened Iran if the Strait of Hormuz is not fully opened, saying the U.S. will completely destroy electric plants, oil wells, and Karg Island, which is the home to all of Iran's oil and most of its income. It all comes from Karg Island. Yesterday, Iran, by the way, or somebody in the Middle East, likely Iran, launched missiles that impacted two different oil ships trying to make their way through the Strait of Hormuz. Just some damage to the ships. It is 7 minutes past the hour. Angry protesters blocked off construction trucks and swarmed the site of a proposed homeless shelter in Brooklyn Sunday after rumors that workers would break ground at the new facility as early as yesterday. Hundreds gathered in Bensonhurst, calling on Mayor Mamdani to shut down the city's longstanding plans to build a 150-capacity men's shelter at 86th Street and 25th Avenue. 100 NYPD officers, some dressed in riot gear, tried to calm down that crowd and push down barricades and surrounded a moving container truck near the planned shelter site. A severed leg that washed ashore in California 4 years ago has been identified and linked back to a man who went missing nearly 3 decades ago. Authorities have confirmed the remains discovered on a Sonoma County beach belonged to Walter Carl Kinney, a former banker from Santa Rosa, who vanished in late 1999. The identification marks a bizarre addition to a case that has seen the same man identified as a John Doe not once but twice, decades apart. The cause of his death is still not known. 8 minutes passed, and President Trump confirmed Sunday that a massive military complex is being built under the White House's brand new ballroom, providing new details on the formerly secret project and why there was such a massive amount of destruction and reconstruction that had to take place. The ballroom is set to sit over the doomsday nuclear bunker that was built in the 1940s to keep presidents safe in times of war. So in other words, there's the nuclear bunker, then there's a safety bunker, then there's the ballroom. The information came out because of a lawsuit, and the president was upset, so was his administration, that the lawsuit then made us reveal secret military and defense strategies. But since it was revealed anyway, the president decided to let it all out. So all those Trump haters who think, oh, we're going to sue and get this information. You know, sometimes it's for the national security that all the information isn't being released at once. And now that you've blown it, and now the cover is being known by Russia and China, now he's just letting it all out. But maybe think twice in the future. He says, by the way, the bunker has a bulletproof, all bulletproof glass, a drone-proof roof. Last year, the Secret Service had warned in court documents that efforts to halt construction of the White House ballroom would pose national security concerns, something that was widely interpreted as referencing construction on the nuclear bunker. To talk about a big screw up, NBC had to apologize Saturday after they showed the wrong Tiger Woods crash video while talking about Tiger's most recent car crash. Remember, he's had 4 crashes. This most recent one was a car crash and DUI arrest during their coverage of the Texas Children's Houston Open. That's when Tiger's crash occurred. Instead, they showed video from his 2021 incident in LA. See the difference? The incident that just happened this past Saturday was on flat land in Palm Beach County on Jupiter Island. And what happened, if you look at the, we'll see when it comes around again, the crash that happened, there you go. That's on the side of a mountain. So there are no mountains in South Florida, just for the record. It's flat as a pancake. So when somebody saw that, they said, how could that be Palm Beach County? Yeah, no. I say to the networks, that's what you get, by the way, for hiring 18-year-olds to run stuff. They don't know the difference. They don't think stuff like that. They don't understand history. They don't understand that, oh, dude, what's Palm Beach County? Oh, it's flat. It's in Florida. Why should we show this? That's why you don't hire kids to do work like that on the network. Just saying. But if you go to the network, they're all like 19 when you walk in now. The crash marked Wood's fourth crash, dating to 2009, his second time being arrested on DUI charges stemming from one of those crashes. Oh, and for everybody asking why a man worth $1.5 billion doesn't just have a driver take him around, Tiger says he just doesn't want everybody knowing his business. Unfortunately, now they kind of do, unfortunately. Research has long shown that boys are over 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls. About 1 in 20 American boys are diagnosed with autism by age 8. For girls, the rate is closer to 1 in 100. The complex condition, which typically affects social communications, interaction, and behavior, is becoming more prevalent. Scientists have pointed the finger at genetic and biological differences as reasons why boys are so unlucky. Well, now the Whitehead Institute for Biomedical Research believes it's identified a more specific explanation. Apparently, it's in the X chromosome that makes boys boys. Whitehead researchers suggest that the inactive X chromosome actually plays an active role in shaping gene expression across the genome, including many genes tied to autism, which could be why more boys have autism than girls. And this will make think twice about AI. A Tennessee grandma was jailed for 5 months after AI erroneously flagged her for bank fraud in another state. 50-year-old Angela Lips was targeted and arrested at her home in Tennessee in July, held for 3 months by local police because they forgot to tell the police in the other state that they had her for extradition. So she literally just lingered in jail. She gets shipped to the other state where a lawyer in 5 minutes figures out we got the wrong woman, but yet it took another couple of months for a judge to get that and release her. I hope a good lawyer comes to her aid. From the WTF file, a $167.3 million Kentucky Powerball winner who went from career criminal to multimillionaire overnight is accused of stealing a comparatively minuscule $12,000 in cash during a home burglary over the weekend. So this is a guy worth $167 million. Broke into a home to steal 12 grand. 51-year-old James Farding, yeah, his name is James Farding, for real, was arrested on second-degree burglary and marijuana possession charges Saturday after video shows him breaking into a home in Lexington, Kentucky. He allegedly stole 12 grand in cash and then fled the scene in his black Porsche. Why? Police caught him. They spotted the marijuana. He has now been charged. And if you feel like dancing, today's your day. March 31st, National Dance Marathon Day, so crank up the music. There are 4 simple rules. Keep moving, don't sleep, welcome spectators, and most importantly, have fun. So whether you're dancing, cheering from the sidelines, or joining in with friends, Dance Marathon Day is a reminder that staying active, and as Dua Lipa would say, dance the night away. 13 minutes past the hour. When we come back, meteorologist Mike Favetta has your full forecast, and it's a warm-up for the Northeast. We're coming right back. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Tuesday. We're live in New Jersey and New York, and how we welcome Los Angeles and San Diego at 16 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mike has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
You know, I was looking at the TikTok yesterday, Mike, and somebody on there from New Jersey was teasing somebody from LA, saying it was actually going to be hotter here today than in Los Angeles. Is that true?
This is true. This is true. There's a little bit of a cloudy pattern with cooler weather off of the Pacific for LA. So, yeah, we get some warmer air and some sunshine this afternoon, but there are some midday clouds. So, keep that in mind with maybe a passing shower as most of that weather arrives from the north today, sliding across northern New Jersey into the south later on today. So, as that works eastward, plan on some periods of rain, but it's not a washout today or tomorrow, even going into Thursday and Friday. It's just this unsettled pattern that gives us some higher rain chances throughout the rest of this week. Then we have another big system that rides to our north by the end of the day on Friday. That misses us, but allows us to stay on the milder side, even as those breezes come in and some rain sets off to our west. Now, by then, even though LA looks to be a little cloudy, we'll start to see some clearing into the start of the weekend, but the rest of the week stays actually a little bit cooler down across LA as we take it into the rest of the middle of the week into Friday. So the longer range forecast into the end of this week shows those higher rain chances today and tomorrow, and then by Thursday we're pretty dry with just some clouds around, finishing out the work week on a milder but cloudy note. Some breaks of sun, I think, in there. And then by Saturday into Sunday, we get that last push of rain for Sunday afternoon. So the early morning Easter egg hunts look to be dry, but there will be some rain that returns later on in the week. And then out west, I think we start off a little cloudy. You see all those clouds work their way in right now with the flow off the Pacific. That will make it a little bit wetter, especially going into today. Cooler too. So yeah, Ken, milder ahead today across the East Coast and into New Jersey as compared to Southern California. So definitely the better of both coasts.
So wetter isn't better.
Not
Okay,
necessarily.
I'll work on that. I'll work on it. It's like nutter butter. Remember that years ago? Okay, that's another issue. All right, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. 18 minutes past the hour, 57 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 62 in Trenton. Los Angeles, it is 64 degrees. We're catching up to you within the hour. I think we'll surpass you. Of course, the sun isn't up there yet. And it's 64 also in San Diego. In terms of traffic right now, we have an issue on the Garden State Parkway. It's a disabled vehicle, Garden State southbound, just north of exit 142 by I-78. You can see it right there. And that is in Hillside. The right lane is blocked, but not really causing any delays there, fortunately. We have a parking related issue at the area airports, again, because this is spring break week. That many people have reserved parking spaces in long-term parking facilities. So make sure before you head to an area airport, if you're driving yourself, reserve a space online before you get there, because you don't want to miss your flight looking for a parking space. It's easy to do online, and then you'll get there and you'll have no issues. Also, if you look at your Hudson River approaches now, we're starting to really have some issues. On the 495 approach, which is to the Helix, this takes you into the Helix. You can see how slow things are right now. That's the set of middle lanes there. So your approach to the Helix and into the Lincoln Tunnel, that's going to cost you about 40 minutes in at this early hour getting into Manhattan. The Holland Tunnel now is only going to be about 25 to 30. The GWB upper and lower levels are moving, but a little bit slowly for 7:20 in the morning Eastern time. You can see the upper level on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you 40 to 45 minutes already getting into Manhattan. On the West Coast right now, we have a fire reported in West LA on 116th Place at South Vermont Avenue. There's a collision in Central LA on the 5 at Broadway on-ramp, and we have a traffic collision in Central LA on the 101 by North Vermont Avenue off-ramp. Also, there is a collision right now in West Valley, Mulholland Highway at Las Virgenes Road. 20 minutes past the hour, a 15-year-old student is dead after shooting a teacher at his high school near San Antonio yesterday. The female teacher from Hill Country College Preparatory High School in the town of Bulverde was rushed to the hospital after being shot by the unidentified male student. Authorities did not say what happened to that shooter, only that he died at the scene. The school was evacuated. All other staff and students are safe. Police are investigating. Officials at Jersey City's Liberty State Park kicked off a deer hunt last night that will last through the week. It's the first such hunt kicked off on the waterfront land. Some folks there say they were a bit surprised by people running around with rifles dressed in camo. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection says all this week after hours, crews will humanely gather up a herd of deer in a large section of the park that will be kept fenced off and off limits to visitors, so nobody's going to accidentally wander into the shooting area. Officials say the overpopulation of deer has nowhere to go and little to eat, so it's actually more humane to do this. They can't be moved because the stress would stress them out too much from the move. In order to minimize the noise of gunshots, by the way, hunters' rifles will be equipped with noise suppression. None of the deer meat will go to waste, by the way. A lot of that gets fed to homeless people. They know in advance they're eating deer, by the way. I checked that out. 21 minutes past, thousands upon thousands of residents are fleeing Los Angeles County. And that's raising questions about the region's future. The region recorded the largest population drop of any nationwide from the summer of 2024 to 2025. In fact, 54,000 residents left the county during that period. It's the largest county in America, still is, but it's losing population fast. 6 years ago, LA County had 10 million residents. Now it's 9.6 million and dropping rapidly. More importantly, there are fewer people replacing those who leave. More illegal migrants, by the way, than anything else coming in. Las Vegas is where many of the departures are ending up. And a woman shopping at a Valencia, California Whole Foods got more than she bargained for. This is a disgusting alert. While she was kneeling to grab something off a shelf, a man whom she did not know exposed himself and began touching the woman with his genitals. This happened back on March 23rd. It was caught on the store security camera. Obviously, we pixelated it. He is seen on the video lowering his pants. Then he presses his exposed private parts against the woman's ear while holding what looks like a cell phone. Police are asking anyone who knows this guy to call. A family of 6, lucky to be alive after an early morning fire destroyed their Belleville home early yesterday. The fire started just past 3 a.m. on Liggum Street. Fortunately, the family was able to get out safely, even before rescuers arrived. There was a frightening moment, though, because as a fire truck pulled up, apparently an overhead power line fell on top. Nobody got hurt from that either. No word on what caused the fire. Everybody's okay today. Today, by the way, is Cesar Chavez's birthday. He was a hero to the left just a couple of weeks ago. Not so much right now. It is also Cesar Chavez Day, by the way, in New Jersey, as officially voted for by the state's liberal Democrat majority in Trenton. The Republicans didn't have a thing to do with it. Well, a number of women have since come forth with accusations accusing the late darling of the left of rape of both underage girls and adult women. Chavez, championed as a hero, especially for illegal migrants, was often heard saying that he actually hated illegal migrants because they stole American jobs, and was often heard calling illegals, his words now, wetbacks. Many of his co-workers have said he would do that on a regular basis, back at a time when people just shouted obscenities like that out loud. 2 years after Trenton's liberals insisted on making Chavez's birthday an official day in the Garden State, lawmakers still have not reversed that decision. So the liberals in Trenton still have this as Cesar Chavez Day, but they quietly canceled all the celebrations because they don't want the people on the right to know, whoops, we screwed up. Lawmakers in states around the country canceled everything related to Cesar Chavez. They voted to tear down Cesar Chavez statues and rename schools, but New Jersey quietly rushed to name a day nearby after Chavez's close ally, Dolores Huerta, with whom he co-founded the primarily socialist United Farm Workers. See, that way they could please the state's Hispanic population. They don't want to offend the Hispanics with a substitute. See, in the mind of a liberal in Trenton, as long as it's just another Hispanic, we'll just throw another Hispanic there and no one will know the difference, before quietly making the Chavez name just disappear. So they're not going to even address the mistake. That's the way New Jersey liberals play. Force something down your throat without your consent, then when it backfires in their faces, pretend it never happened. Savannah Guthrie is set to return to the Today Show on April 6th, more than 2 months after her 84-year-old mother went missing. In her first interview with NBC since the disappearance, she made it with Hoda Kotb, who, by the way, is a lovely, lovely person. Guthrie shared that coming back to work feels like part of her purpose. She said that she hopes to reconnect with her Today family, describing the show as a place of support. Guthrie also emphasized her faith as a source of strength, and it brings her connection to her mom. Authorities continue to investigate her mother's disappearance. Well, do you love wine? A single bottle of 1945 Domaine de la Romanée Conti sold for a jaw-dropping $812,500 at the annual La Paulée auction for Acker, the world's largest fine wine auction house and America's oldest wine merchant on Manhattan's Upper West Side. According to Forbes, the sale broke the former world record for the most expensive bottle sold at auction, which had been set by a bottle of the very same beverage in 2018 and which sold for $558,000, marking a nearly 50% increase. A representative from Acker said this purchase cements the 1945 vintage as the most coveted bottle in the history of wine collecting. And before you think, why would somebody spend that much on a bottle of wine to drink? They don't spend that money to drink it. That's a way of hiding your money. See, if you invest money on stocks and the stocks go up and you take the cash, well, then you have to pay tax on it. You invest in art or a wine bottle like that keeps escalating in value, you don't pay tax on it until you go to sell the wine. But it is an investment that keeps going up in value, you see, and that's why they invest in wine like that. No, it's not stored in the basement. They keep it stored by a professional, just so you know. It is 28 minutes past the hour. When we come back, a powerful story of resilience is turning into a movement for families facing some of life's toughest battles. Our phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta comes back. He has the forecast near you. Warmer today in New York and New Jersey than in Southern California. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato, seen daily at ONNJ.com, ONLACA.com, Roku, Fire TV, news on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, now streamed live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Morning, it's 30 minutes past the hour, Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West Coast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
And once again, Mike, just a tease to everybody. Tomorrow, thanks to you, by the way, we have a little gathering of the astronauts from NASA's Artemis mission. So just for the record, because they're supposed to launch tomorrow, it's not like they're going to be doing it from the cockpit. We're taping it today so that they could be on the mission tomorrow. But we will. So I'm excited. It's 10 o'clock this morning. We're taping the interview, and then if all goes to plan, they will take off tomorrow. If the weather, as you said, is not friendly, then they'll just have to push it back a few days. But it's always about what is safest for them, right? To
Yeah.
most safely
Of
take
course,
off.
whether or a thousand other moving parts that happen with these launches, there's so many processes that have to happen in order and in a timely fashion because there are these windows that open each and every day in order to get that lunar injection and have them orbit the moon. But it's going to be a very, very cool interview. Can't wait for you to see it tomorrow morning. So be sure to tune in then. As far as the weather, we start off very mild after a very mild overnight and clear sky. Today, a lot of sunshine until a few sprinkles work their way across northern New Jersey, setting the stage for an even warmer afternoon because after those midday sprinkles hit just northern New Jersey, we'll actually clear things out very nicely and bring back temperatures into the 70s. So that'll help the tree pollen spike into the next few days as the weeds, grasses, and molds remain on the low side. Those are late season allergens. But as far as the West Coast, we've been keeping an eye on some of these showers and a little bit of cloud cover that's been moving in across the LA basin. Southern California stays wet into tomorrow before it clears, allowing for some cooler weather to take over. And not until the cold front passes on Thursday will you dry out. So a little bit of damp weather around there with some of those marine breezes and that marine layer setting up over the next several mornings, also keeping things cloudy and cooler there. So our forecast is actually warmer across New Jersey rather than the wet, cooler weather out west, and that Pacific moisture keeps moving on in, allowing for that wet weather to fall through the next several days until we get to Thursday, Friday timeframe. As far as the East Coast, it remains rather mild as a few areas of rain move in over the next several days. The next few days are not washouts. I know you look at the phone app, your weather app on your phone, and you see rain every single day. That doesn't mean it's going to be a washout, but there could be a few sprinkles each and every afternoon before clearing ultimately occurs early next week, drawing us out into the next week in April. We'll give you more details on that and take a look at the long range, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right. Love that long range, especially if you're a golfer. Never mind. All right. Thank you, Mike. We'll check back with you. Can't believe the temperature right now. It's 65 in Los Angeles, 62 in Trenton. So East Coast and West Coast, almost the same temperature, 59 northern New Jersey. It is 65 also in San Diego. I guess Mike was saying there's a little cloud cover in Southern California. So it's usually San Diego's a degree or two warmer than Los Angeles, but apparently because of the cloud cover, they're the same temperature this morning right now. Looking at traffic, let's go over to 495. No, what are we doing? 139, right? So this is Route 139, which is making your way into the Holland Tunnel. You can see it's pretty much bumper to bumper right now. So the approach to Manhattan via the Holland Tunnel right now is going to cost you 35 minutes at this early hour. We'll switch over to the 495 cam. We conveniently and happily like to call this Pam's camera, our director, because there's a Lion King ad you could see in this. But you could see it's also pretty heavy making your way to so that's the center lanes. That makes your way to the Helix, which takes you into the Lincoln Tunnel. So from that point, if that is bumper to bumper there, as it is, it's going to cost you at least 40 minutes into Manhattan. That's exactly 1 mile to the mouth of the Lincoln Tunnel at that point. And then we switch over to the GWB, upper and lower levels, very heavy. This is the 8095 approach. They're giving us the back shot today to give us an idea of how things stand. And you could see on the right side is the lower level, left side upper level. That is 45 to 50 minutes in. We go over to the West Coast right now for our LA and San Diego viewers. In South LA, there's a traffic hazard reported on the 110 at South or West Redondo Beach Boulevard off-ramp. There's a fire reported now in West LA at West 116th Place in South Vermont. We have a traffic collision now in Central LA at the 101 and North Vermont Avenue off-ramp, and another crash on Mulholland Highway at Las Virgenes Road, and that's in West Valley. 35 minutes past the hour. It is 7:35 East, 4:35 West. A powerful story of resilience is now turning into a movement here in New Jersey, one led by students for families facing some of life's toughest battles. Are You for a Cure, as in Are You for a Cure, is a growing initiative out of Rutgers University, raising money and awareness for pediatric cancer with a big goal this year, $100,000 to support families through the Tom Coughlin J Fund. Joining us now are Danny McCaffrey, founder of Are You for a Cure, and Chris Caballero, who is executive director of the organization. Danny and Chris, good to have you on. Good morning, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And let's start with Danny. Danny, you were diagnosed with cancer at a young age. First of all, how old were you? And what was that experience like? And how did that experience inspire you to start Are You for a Cure years later?
Yeah, so when I was first diagnosed, I was actually 7 years old. I had a small bump on my neck that wouldn't go away. I went to one doctor, a second doctor. Finally, after a third opinion, it was deemed cancerous. Within 4 days, I was being treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City. And after that, my thyroid got removed, and that was when the treatment started. So I was on 2 full years of treatment, scans, surgeries, time in and out of New York City. As we all know, that commute is crazy from
Mhm.
wherever you're coming from. And it was a long battle, and it took over 2 years to battle. But eventually, at the age of 9, I was deemed cancer free, and that's kind of how my story started and why I wanted to start this cause at
And,
Rutgers University.
and so a 7-year-old should be playing with games and toys and hanging out with friends, and you were instead having to dedicate your life. I'm assuming, did you do chemo and radiation?
So I did a radioactive iodine. So I didn't have to do chemo, fortunately, but the radioactive iodine was intense because of the radiation that's in this type of treatment. You're actually considered radioactive, so you can't be
Right.
near anyone for around 7 to 10 days, which is crazy. So I was doing quarantining before quarantining was cool, to be honest.
Nicely put. And I'm sure now you're healthy, thank God, right? So we can laugh about it. We can say when you walk in, you light up a room. That's the good
Yeah,
news is you are healthy. Thank God for that. But what began as
thank
a
you.
campus idea grew into something so much bigger. Can walk us through how it evolved, how the Are You for a Cure movement evolved into a statewide thing? Because this isn't just at Rutgers now.
Yeah, so I want to take it back to when I was 8 years old, and Coach Tom Coughlin of the New York Giants, one of the greatest coaches in our time,
Yes,
right? He
indeed.
was fortunate enough to allow my family to come to a New York Giants practice, and I was the biggest Giants fan that you could imagine. Eli Manning, the whole team, and he took such good care of our family. He actually, at the end of the practice, he called me in to give the team a pre or end of practice huddle. It was their Friday practice before a big game, and I was actually able to give the team a speech, me at 8 years old. And
Mm.
afterwards, the team picked me up and they were chanting my name. So it was an amazing experience. I had already had some lineage with Tom Coughlin beforehand, and then after being a senior in high school, I was a recipient of a scholarship from the Tom Coughlin J Fund Foundation going into my 4 years at Rutgers University. So after receiving that scholarship from the Tom Coughlin J Fund, once I got to Rutgers University, I was very motivated to give back because I was fortunate to be going to college in part because of them. So it's like, what can I do to help them? Because all they're trying to do is help other families battling cancer, paying for medical bills, utility bills, Wi Fi, anything of that sort, food. And I was very inspired and motivated to give back.
Well, and by the way, Chris, it's a good thing that Coughlin didn't know Danny was a Patriots fan at the time, huh? Just kidding, just kidding. No, I'm guessing you're a lifelong Giants fan now. God bless Mr. Coughlin. Coach is just an amazing human being, just unreal. Now, Chris, from your point of view as executive director, what's it been like to help scale this effort and bring more students and communities into the mission? I would guess that when people hear the story, it's hard for them to say no.
Absolutely. So for us, going back to what Danny said, when we started at Rutgers University 3 years ago, we partnered up with local businesses and students. So what we would do is we would sell wristbands for $10, which gave
Mhm.
students exclusive discounts to businesses across campus. So in this position, students would get a discount, businesses would get more foot traffic and positive brand image, and students, and we would also give to Are You for a Cure and the Tom Coughlin J Fund. So in order for us to expand, we realized there's so many campuses across New Jersey, and there's so many students who haven't heard about Are You for a Cure. So we decided to utilize social media and create content to be able to really push what we're doing to these different campuses and partner up with groups of students. And we have team leads at each of these campuses, and we organize big events. And we've been able to, so far, raise over $30,000 in just a couple months.
That's awesome. And it's brilliant. And you're right. It is a win-win-win. Everybody wins along the way. And the people who, hey, $10 today is like you walk into a candy store, whatever. You walk into a stationery store, you buy whatever. You can, I'm showing my age by calling it a stationery store. But that's, and $10 anybody spends in a second. So to give $10 for something like a wristband, you're doing a good thing. You feel good about yourself. You're helping kids out in the process. The store makes out everybody's happier. And you're aiming now, you've already gotten $12,000 raised and you're aiming at 100,000. So what's driving the growth and how are you helping build momentum more this year?
That's a fantastic question. So yeah, as you mentioned, we originally, our first year, we had $8,000. And then as we implemented new tactics of putting on more tables around campus, partnering up with more businesses, speaking at events with Greek life and athletes across campus, we were able to raise $12,000 last year. So now being on these different campuses, our approach to raise more money is partnering with bigger businesses and also getting bigger donations. So Danny, would you like to speak on the donation that we received from Rutgers football?
Yeah, so recently we just received $2,500 from Rutgers football in support of our cause. That, along with a few other very generous donors, have really helped us hit that $30,000 mark. But Chris and the team are not stopping, and we're really pushing full steam ahead for this $100,000 mark. But the way that we see it is, even if we do fall short of it, it's still a tremendous amount that we fundraised, and it will go a long way to any family that it goes towards.
Well, absolutely. What's a website so people want to make a donation? I'm sure every dollar would help. So it's Are You for a Cure? What's a website for people to make a donation?
RUforacure.com. And
So
through
it's
that,
the
you
letters
can click the
Are
link
You.
and yes, RU as in Rutgers University, but play on words for RU. But RUforacure.com, and we have a link straight to our donation page.
I love it. Danny McCaffrey, founder of Are You for a Cure, Chris Caballero, executive director, two awesome men. And God bless you for what you're doing. May you have nothing but success in helping others. Thank God you're a healthy man there, Danny. Also, it's great to have you both on. Come back and let us know how things work out, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys. Good to have you on. Good men. 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, new data showing declining student performance across subjects. So what to do about it? Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with the full forecast. We're coming back on New Jersey Mornings and on LACA. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. 45 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Mike, for the record, I don't know if I want to ruin people's breakfast, but being that it's supposed to hit around 80 for our area today, as you were saying,
Uh-oh. Got the
broke out
shorts
the
on.
shorts. Broke out
Mm-hmm.
the shorts, Mike. Now that people are coughing up their breakfast, I'll let you do the forecast.
Yeah, I miss those days. Now I have to stay like warm, bundled up from head to toe because, my wife at 37 weeks pregnant keeps the house at 65 degrees. So, it feels like I feel like a little penguin walking around over here in the house. But regardless, our forecast bringing back lots of warm weather today. Just head outside. You warm up in a jiffy with all of that very mild weather ahead today. You see some storms out in the Midwest. That's some of the rain that taps into our area as soon as this afternoon. The futurecast showing some of those storms sliding through northern New Jersey, not just today, but also tomorrow as this cold front stretches across the state by tomorrow morning and then kind of lingers as a stationary front across New Jersey into Thursday. That's what gives us our chances of rain over the next few days. It's not a washout by any means, but will give us higher than average chances of rainfall, certainly each and every day. We should clear out nicely by Friday with some sunshine and then drier by the weekend, but there are some showers by Sunday afternoon. So make sure the Easter egg hunts are nice and early in the day to enjoy the dry weather. This mild weather that stretches through the middle of the month will feel lovely. Another round of excessive heat down in southwestern California for the first part of April, and then a little bit higher chances of rainfall across the East Coast while the West Coast remains dry. So looking ahead, Ken, we've got some wet weather in our forecast in New Jersey. We'll detail that right down to the Garden State coming up in our next weather update.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It is 47 minutes past the hour right now. In terms of temperatures, we have 57 degrees northern New Jersey, 62 in Trenton. Los Angeles now, it is 65 degrees, 64 in San Diego. And we take a look at traffic. We have a bunch of things happening. There's a crash on the Turnpike reported right now. Let's see, the outer roadway north of Interchange 11 by the Garden State Parkway, Woodbridge. All lanes are open, but there is a bit of traffic in that area. Also on the Turnpike, we have operational activities, what they're calling it, with debris on the Turnpike outer roadway northbound south of Interchange 9 by Route 18 Milltown. State police are on the scene right now. There's a bit of a slowdown for people going through the exit or the Interchange 9 vicinity on the Turnpike. Let's look at the approaches to, let's go to 139. Do you have 139, Cam, from before, Pam? So this goes up to the, all right. So this is the approach to the Holland Tunnel right now. This has been pretty slow all morning. Don't know why. It's more than likely just volume. We don't have a whole lot of accidents in the area to report, and there isn't one here, but I think just basically volume. So we're being told it's 35 minutes in at the Holland Tunnel right now, which is about 10 minutes longer than it usually takes. You can see this slowdown. This is making your way into the mouth of the tunnel right there. Over at the Lincoln Tunnel, the 495 approach right now is also going to cost you about 35 to 40 minutes, and the GWB upper and lower levels are now costing you 45 plus minutes, both slowdown in both the 80-95 approach. Upper levels on the right, lower level is on the left. On the West Coast we go. We take a look at Los Angeles. In Newhall, there's what's being called a traffic hazard. So there's something on the roadway right now, and that's on, it's by the I-5 by South Vista del Lago. Also, there's a collision in central LA on the 101 at North Vermont Avenue off-ramp. And in West Valley, there is a collision, an accident in Mulholland Highway at Las Virgenes Road. It is 50 minutes past the hour. Concerns about the state of education in the U.S. are growing as new data is showing declining student performance across subjects, right across the board. Schools are facing challenges like teacher shortages, widening achievement gaps as well. Well, Megan Freeman is a veteran educator and co-CEO of Illuminate XR. And she is here to talk about why the issue may be how we design our learning. We should take another look at it. We say good morning to Megan.
Good morning, Ken. So honored to be here.
It's good to have you on. Thank you. And my mother was an educator. My mother-in-law was an educator. So this is near and dear to my heart. And it's frustrating to see that this is like a perennial problem and how so many people don't get that education is not just a one-sided issue, right? That there are many facets to making sure a child is properly educated. So why are we seeing the student performance decline across so many subjects right now?
It's a really dynamic problem, and I would say that the focus for many years in education has been these standardized assessments, and assessments are important. They are a part of life, but they are a tool. And
Mhm.
when the weight of those assessments becomes so strong, something has got to give. And what I would say is that deep thinking and critical thinking has become secondary, and that is the magic of learning. So, what we need to really do in education is look at redefining what it means to learn in today's day and age and bring to forefront, reinvigorate the idea that the messy process of learning is just as important as those assessments that are snapshots and measure how students are doing in one moment at a time.
Yeah, too many students, my mother used to say this all the time. Too many students learn how to take the test, but don't know
Yes.
the subject matter. They have no idea. They walk away, they've forgotten anything about the subject matter. It was just how do I achieve the best score on the test? And in the 1950s, 1960s, they didn't have these achievement tests. Students took regular tests in school, and that's how they passed. So I understand that it was because of the federal government wanting to standardize everything, so they got the same snapshot from every state, but not every state's the same, and students learn at their own paces. And I mean, there's something to be said about the localization of education, and we want everybody to be at a certain level, but at the same time, we want to make sure everybody knows when they get out of school how to count.
Exactly. We're seeing many businesses too really scream at the education secondary world saying, hey, we need these skills. We need these human intelligence skills. We need students who can critically think and think on their feet and problem solve. Because what we're finding is that students are, like you said, great test takers. They're really good at school, but they're struggling with the ambiguity of the business world. And so, what we need to do is really listen to those human intelligence skills, especially in the world of AI, where answers are given to students in moments. Students are able to produce essays in seconds. So we need to really redefine output. What's the goal of learning? And I would challenge the goal of learning must be deep thinking and that messy learning process.
Amen to that. Here in New York and New Jersey, they have made it a rule that you can't have that in the classroom. So the minute people check in, kids check in, they have a zip bag. Their phone goes into a locker, and they can't use their phone throughout the day until they go to leave. How much of an impact has that little device made for detrimental reasons and also for positive? I'm assuming there's some positivity to it, but in terms of the detriment, how much has that negatively impacted students, do you think?
Well, we've seen a lot of research looking at the impact of cell phones on students, even just brain development, attention span. So we can't deny the fact that there are consequences for a device. And schools are seeing significant increase in student attention and the ability to be able to problem solve and critically think when the phones aren't in the room. And the idea also is to make sure that we develop relationships together as humans. One of the best part of schools is the relationships you build, the friendships, the personal relationship you have with mentors and teachers. That student teacher relationship is one of the most critical at keeping students in school. And so when you have a device that takes your attention away from that very important focus, it does distract from the ultimate goal. So making sure that any technology tool, whether it's AI, a computer, or even a cell phone, when it's used in education or maybe not, we need to make sure that the device is designed and the learning environment is designed to have those tools support student thinking. And that is what we do here at Illuminate XR as well.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, because otherwise, what's the point of going to school? You can just sit at home, right? As we learned during the pandemic, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need social interactivity. We unfortunately we saw for that first year or two, right after the pandemic, kids had no interactive skills. They couldn't talk. They couldn't look you in the eye. Everything was yeah, yeah, yeah. They didn't know how to communicate. They felt uncomfortable being in social settings, and we kind of destroyed a sub decade of students by keeping them at home. I mean, for obvious reasons, we had to in many cases, but unfortunately, that is what people don't realize, that it's about the whole student. It's about learning the information, but also about learning to be humans. That's an important part of it, isn't it?
So much. And those human intelligence concepts, that critical thinking, communication, collaboration, Those are the skills, and I argue they're not soft skills. I argue they're hard skills, and learning behavior is measured. And when you have systems or tools that allow for teachers to see those behaviors, like at Illuminate XR, we are building a platform where teachers are given early insight so they can support students in personalizing the journey, ensuring they're building those essential skills to be successful in this fast-paced world. Students need so much more. And the previous guests, Danny and Chris, who were developing and creating their own company for the better good, how wonderful would that be to be something that's happening across the board? There's so many moments in education where you see students shine. And what I'd love to see is those messy moments in the middle where students are sitting and together are able to be treated as humans and start solving world problems. The skills that they're building as a result of that work are what matter most when students leave school and enter the workforce.
So just for so people understand, Illuminate XR is sort of a supplement for students who are kind of struggling to get along. This is a new way of learning and absorbing and understanding information. I should have said that right at the top so that people understand. But you've provided all good information along the way. What is a website, please? And I'd love to have you back on to talk about this again. What is a website for people to get more information in case, especially if they see that the student in their life is struggling along?
Absolutely. So illuminatexr.com is our website, and we really are focusing on those human intelligence skills first, bringing back that messy learning process to education so we can see proficiency rates climb instead of decline.
Yeah, and this is for the health, the mental and overall well-being of the student, and so a student will love school and love interactivity as opposed to looking at it with dread. It's wonderful to have you on. What is that website? One more time, give it again.
illuminatexr.com.
All right, Megan Freeman, excuse me, veteran educator and co-CEO of Illuminate XR. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, and please promise you'll come back again. I want to talk more about this.
Absolutely, Ken. Thanks so much. So honored to be here. Have a wonderful day.
You as well. Thank you. 58 minutes past the hour. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we'll be right back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Back in 2. Very good morning. It's 8 a.m. Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234, coast to coast, 888-658-0234, just for you in New Jersey. Yeah, it's the same number. Don't tell anyone. Mostly cloudy, breezy today. Maybe a thunderstorm this morning. Highs upper 70s. We maybe 80. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Was it okay that I kind of said maybe 80?
Maybe 80? Yeah, that's okay. I mean, with the amount of sun, Ken, that we get this afternoon, you're gonna be like Paulie Walnuts out there, with the trifold mirror, basking in that warm sunshine today. With the warm weather that as forecast for later today, we're starting at 63 degrees. So it only takes a little bit of that southwesterly wind and sunshine to bump us into the low 80s, and it's certainly possible with those cherry blossoms in bloom down at Branchbrook Park in Newark. We are 23 degrees warmer this time than this time yesterday over in Flemington. So a really nice mild start to the day. And those breezes blowing in a favorable direction out of the south and west, pushing in that milder fetch of air. So we had a few sprinkles last night across northern New Jersey. The clouds are starting to work in across the northwestern part of the state, but that's not an all-day affair. Most of those clouds clear out, and we're back to sunshine after maybe a midday lunchtime sprinkle. With this afternoon heating up, there it is, to 81 in Homedale, 81 down toward Freehold, 82 in Monroe. We could lose a few of those degrees up in northern New Jersey again because of that delayed heating once we get beyond those early morning, early afternoon showers that are forecast there just for the northwestern part of the state. So you see it here on the Futurecast throughout this afternoon, I think with a few chances of rain across northern New Jersey. We turn a little wetter into tomorrow. We get another round of light shower activity through the day, probably getting up to around the same temperature, 79, 80 degrees. Most of the rain, however, tomorrow night is across southern New Jersey, and then those northeasterly winds push in, and the wind switches direction, sending us down into the 40s for Thursday, only rebounding into the 60s on Thursday afternoon, and then Friday, with the late day breaks of sun, we could likely rise back up into the 70s. Important weather. My mother-in-law is asking me, how's the weather for the Stations of the Cross? I think we're dry, but it might be a little bit cooler by the afternoon. Then we tap into the weekend, which starts off mild on Saturday, but I think could see some wet weather by Easter Sunday, especially in the afternoon. We'll give you that detail on the weekend forecast coming up, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you. And by the way, while I got you on, just a reminder to everybody, a little tease that tomorrow morning at this time, we'll be speaking with the astronauts of the NASA Artemis mission. Mike and I get to tape the interview today, and it airs tomorrow morning. So hopefully you'll tune in and catch that. I'm all excited about it. But I'm a
Very excited,
3-year-old
yeah.
at heart. Yes. So there you go. You know how much I know about rocket science? There
Oh,
you go.
no, we're going to change that. We'll fix it up real fast.
Well, that's why I'm glad I'm with a guy who knows about physics. And I mean, I was not good at physics. I don't know how I got by physics in high school, but Pam, our director, says she learned from the Big Bang Theory.
Bazinga.
There you go. All right, everybody. Love you all. All right. Thank you, sir. We'll check back. It is 57 degrees now in northern New Jersey, 62 in Trenton. It's 62 also at Cape May and 61 in Vineland. In terms of traffic right now, we have a disabled vehicle. This is in Jersey City on 12th Street, eastbound by Grove Street, one left lane block. That's right in downtown Jersey City. It's going to cause a little bit of a delay if you're trying to get to work. We also have a crash on 1 and 9 reported eastbound at Haynes Avenue in Newark. This just popped up, left lane of 2 lanes closed. This is in the vicinity. This is where the old Anheuser-Busch Budweiser plant is, in the vicinity of the airport. So if you're trying to make your way on 1 and 9 to Newark Airport, just beware of that bit of a delay. We have a disabled vehicle now in the Garden State Parkway express lanes in the vicinity of exit 124, southbound south of the John Bon Jovi service area. That's an old bridge. Right lane is blocked. Crash on the Turnpike, outer roadway northbound, north of interchange 11 by the Garden State Parkway, Woodbridge, all lanes open. Traffic-related issues for parking at the area airports. If you're driving yourself to any of the area airports and heading out of town for a few days because it is still spring break, just beware that a lot of the airports are at capacity with their parking lots. So reserve a parking spot. Some of they have satellite lots privately owned nearby. Do that before you head out so that you don't waste time hunting, looking for a space. The Lincoln and Holland tunnels right now are both reporting 35 minutes into Manhattan. GWB's 40 to 45 minutes, upper level on the right, lower on the left. It's actually improved just a little bit in the last 15 to 30 minutes, so that's pretty good. It is 8:05 right now, and officials at Jersey City's Liberty State Park kicked off a deer hunt last night that will last through the week. It's the first such hunt kicked off on the waterfront land. Some folks there say they were a little surprised by people running around in camo with rifles. Now they know why. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection says all this week after hours, crews will humanely gather up herds of deer in a large section of the park that will be kept fenced off and off limits to visitors. Officials say the overpopulation of deer has nowhere to go and little to eat and can't be moved because the stress would stress them out too much. In order to minimize the noise of gunshots, hunters' rifles will be equipped with noise suppression. A family of 6 is lucky to be alive after an early morning fire destroyed their Belleville home early yesterday. The fire started just past 3 a.m. on Ligham Street. Fortunately, the family was able to get out safely even before rescuers arrived. There was a frightening moment, though, when an overhead power line fell on top of a fire truck. No word on what caused the fire, and fortunately, nobody got hurt. Well, today is Cesar Chavez's birthday. It's also Cesar Chavez Day in New Jersey, as officially voted for by the state's liberal Democrat majority in Trenton. A number of women have come forth with accusations, though, against the late darling of the left, accusing him of rape, both of underage girls and adult women. Chavez, championed as a hero, especially for illegal migrants, was actually often heard decrying illegal migrants, hating them, in fact, because he said they stole American jobs. He was often heard calling them, and these are his words, wetbacks. Disgusting. 2 years after Trenton's liberals insisted on still making Chavez's birthday an official day in the Garden State, lawmakers still have not reversed that decision in light of this new information, as have done lawmakers in states around the country. So everybody else got the word that this guy was raping little girls, and they no longer have Cesar Chavez Day in their states. California reversed it. Now they call it Farm Workers Day. Other states like Arizona, New Mexico, they all took the name off. But New Jersey, in Trenton, good job, Democrats. These are the people who will rush to decry Christopher Columbus and rip down his statues. They still have Cesar Chavez Day for the day, but they've quietly not celebrated today, hoping that no one will notice that the libs in Trenton have voted this day in as their own, this man of theirs. So instead, what they did is they quietly created a day for Dolores Huerta, who is a hero. She was a close ally of Chavez. In fact, she says now, in her 80s and 90s, she announced that she was herself sexually assaulted by Chavez. And she kept it quiet because she was behind the Socialist United Farm Workers with him. That's what socialists do. See, the cause is more important than letting other women know that you were raped by the guy who's behind it. I know you shouldn't judge somebody who was also sexually assaulted in that case, but come on. How could you be around the guy? He sexually assaults you on multiple occasions, but for the good of the cause, as a good socialist, you keep it quiet. And then she later said she had no idea he was raping other women and girls. Now, this is what the Trenton liberals do. Force something down your throat. Then when it backfires, pretend it never happened. Not a word, just crickets right now from the Trenton Democrats. Just crickets, crickets. New Jersey will remove and destroy 150,000 gallons of toxic PFAS-containing firefighting foam, investing $16.6 million in the effort. These forever chemicals have been linked to serious health issues and have contaminated water supplies for decades. The state has partnered with Revive Environmental to safely dispose of the foam ahead of the statewide ban, which is set for 2027. PFAS, by the way, those are chemicals that were on like Teflon pans and things like that. The problem is once you scrape the Teflon, every time you use a metal utensil, all those little flecks come off. That gets in the water supply. You wash the pan, the little flecks go down the drain. We reuse that water. Yeah, for those who don't realize, every bit of water you flush down a toilet, you drink in about a week. It gets recycled. You know, it gets cleaned, but it gets recycled. The problem is PFAS, those chemicals can't get filtered out. So you keep drinking them and they end up in your body. New Jersey lawmakers are advancing a package of bills to regulate artificial intelligence as its use expands across everyday life. We talked about this last week. The proposed measures would require clear disclosures for AI-generated political ads, business interactions, and companion chatbots with fines for violations. If you go on YouTube right now and you look at 90% of videos, you'll see what looks like a good-looking person, male or female, telling you about the latest information. Watch their lips. You just keep staring at the lips and you'll see that the lips will trip up eventually. And you'll see you're not looking at a human, you're looking at AI, artificial intelligence. Well, they also set guidelines for professionals using AI, preventing deceptive advertising and addressing risks like misinformation and threats to child safety. I recently saw some videos on YouTube which say things like the Pope. One of the things it said was the Pope has fired 12 cardinals around the world, demanding their resignations, and it wasn't true. But it was set up with a guy dressed like a priest, AI priest. It was fake. And I was a priest. So I'm watching this and I looked at the guy's lips and I realized a couple of minutes in, no, this is fake. And I Googled the names of the cardinals that were demanded the resignations, and they don't exist. But whoever made this just wanted clicks, because the more clicks you get, the more money you get. So just don't be fooled. Don't be suckered by this stuff that is all AI generated. Understand that it's for somebody to make money. An Irvington man was sentenced to 40 years in prison for a fatal 2021 mistaken identity shooting in East Orange. Prosecutors say David Parker believed the victim was a rival gang member and opened fire, killing him. The shooting stemmed from an attempted retaliation tied to an earlier gang-related incident. Parker was convicted of first-degree murder and weapons charges. A man in New Milford used a knife to save the day. Seems a drunk guy broke into his home early Sunday morning. The invader kicked in his apartment door when he was home with his wife and kids. Started fighting with the resident, but the drunk man was outsmarted. The resident had the knife. He fought the burglar, causing him to receive a head injury. I don't know, that he stabbed him in the head. The drunk man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening wounds. Nobody else got hurt. The incident is under investigation, but don't put it past the liberals of Trenton to try to somehow charge the father who is defending his home and his kids and his wife. A fast-moving fire broke out in a McDonald's in Monmouth County Sunday. Firefighters arrived to find flames coming from the roof and quickly worked to contain the blaze. Crews quickly knocked it down. Nobody got hurt. The incident being investigated. And this is from the WTF file. A $167.3 million Kentucky Powerball winner who went from career criminal to multimillionaire overnight is accused of stealing $12,000 in cash during a home burglary over the weekend. Yeah, so this guy worth almost $200 million broke into somebody's home. 51-year-old James Farting. Yeah, that's his name, James Farting. He was arrested on second-degree burglary and marijuana possession charges Saturday after video shows him apparently breaking into a home in Lexington, Kentucky that evening. Farting allegedly stole that cash from the home, then got into his $200,000 black Porsche and fled. Cops pulled him over, saw marijuana all over the car, charged him with marijuana use, burglary, speeding. Yeah, he won the lottery a year ago. What's going on? Something up there. It's 8:13. When we come back, digital reading is on the rise across New Jersey. So how is that impacting our libraries? Mostly cloudy and breezy today. A thunderstorm possible this morning. Highs near 80. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So might some areas see a thunderstorm this morning in New Jersey?
You know, the weather models just updated and it took out the chances of some rain,
Oh,
primarily bringing them back for tomorrow. So, yes, tomorrow we could see a chance of a thunderstorm, especially across central and southern New Jersey. Now looks to be a little clearer, especially as those clouds start off the morning. Matawan getting up to a high of 80 degrees, 74 over toward Long Branch and 74 in Point Pleasant. With the southwesterly breeze, there won't be as much of that sea breeze today. So, really enjoying that warm weather as the wind gusts throughout the afternoon promote lots of warming through the end of the day. Then you see the winds kind of switch direction throughout the next few afternoons as the front moves through, providing those chances of rain as we head into Wednesday. So we start off this morning nice and dry, had a few sprinkles last night. Most of that warm weather moves in across the northeast, and then you see these thunderstorms kind of explode here in the middle of the country. That's the unsettled air that comes through tomorrow with that stationary front. And as these storms line up along the front tomorrow, after today's highs climb into the 80s, you can see right there those lines across kind of Route 78, 195. Those are where the storms will be forming tomorrow throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Temperatures will warm nicely into the upper 60s and likely the low 70s, but depending on when that rain arrives, we'll be determining how warm it gets. Thursday's pretty cloudy, but Friday rather, brings back the sunshine, and with that milder weather, kind of mind focused on the weekend. We start off the weekend a little cloudy but mild, and then bring back a chance of some rain by Sunday afternoon as that front lines up across the west and kind of moves across New Jersey throughout the mid-afternoon into the end of the day, clearing and giving us a beautiful Monday into Tuesday. So lots of great weather ahead. As far as this weekend, again, we start off a little cloudy with temperatures warming into the 70s, and Sunday starts off dry but eventually transitions to wet weather by the afternoon, Ken.
all right, sir. And by the way, we heard Nino, so I think you got to go feed Nino. Nino, your baby is
It's that
your-
time of day, yes.
Nino is just over one, everybody, for those just finding out for the first time. And when Nino wants to eat, and by the way,
Oh, he
for a
makes it known.
child who's like this,
Mm.
Nino could put down food faster than me.
I don't know
So
where he puts it. You should see that kid eat through a bowl of pastina like it's nobody's business. Something else.
Pastina the best though. Pastina,
It
especially
is.
when there's something about like when you're not feeling well. I don't care how
Yeah.
old you are, pastina, just because you don't even have to chew it. It just goes right down. It's so good. Butter cheese pastina. There is nothing on earth better than that, man. There he is. I hear him. All right,
Yeah.
bud. Let me let you go tend. Thank you, sir.
Right.
We'll check back. Awesome. I love it. It is 60 degrees northern New Jersey, 62 degrees in Trenton. There is nothing like the cry of a baby. Sweetest thing in the world. God bless. 8:19 is our time. We do have a few things happening right now. Pam, can we take the shot if we could on 495? This is the approach to the Helix that takes you into the Lincoln Tunnel. Look at how jamming that is right now. So now when you see the buses stopped as well as the cars, because the buses have a dedicated lane, that tells you what's going on. So there is a vehicle breakdown mid-tunnel. So the tunnel that the buses use, which is the right tunnel. So when you come around the Helix, there are the two tunnels that take you in the morning, the middle and the right. The right tunnel is the tunnel that has the breakdown right now. So you can't get through, or at least very slowly. You could see the buses are stopped. That is not good. That is not good. As my friend Joe Nolan, who used to do traffic with us at Channel 7 years ago, he used to say, that isn't good a lot. And that isn't good a lot. That's going to cause massive delays. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Over at, let's see, on the Turnpike right now, we have disabled tractor trailer, New Jersey Turnpike, express lanes northbound by 71. That's up going to the GW Bridge right now. We have, hang on one second, folks. Just got to fix something on a computer. There we go. We also have truck restrictions on the GWB. They're telling us right now that is likely just due to weather situation, maybe because of the clouds, maybe because of glare. Also, your other Hudson River crossings, Holland Tunnel right now is going to cost you about 40 minutes in, and the GWB upper and lower has been heavy all morning. This is a 45 to 50 minute delay. Upper level on the right, lower on the left, and that's what it's going to cost you getting into Manhattan. 8:21 is our time. Digital reading is on the rise across New Jersey, with more people turning to ebooks and audiobooks than ever before. But behind the convenience, libraries are facing growing challenges when it comes to cost, access, and control over the content they provide. Jenny Pooh is the director of the Hoboken Public Library. We say good morning to you, Jenny. Good to have you on.
Thank you for having me, Ken. Good morning.
You bet. Well, tell us the Domenics. I just squeaked like an 8-year-old. Excuse me. Tell us how the demand for ebooks and audiobooks has grown here in New Jersey. Because I remember years ago when libraries started lending out books for phones, right? To me, I thought, wow, what a cool idea. But the problem, I guess, becomes if everybody's doing that, then the purpose of having that beautiful building with all those beautiful books, and I still get excited walking into a library, then becomes more of a challenge, doesn't it?
Well, you mentioned it at the top. You're right. Demand for ebooks and audiobooks are growing across New Jersey, and libraries are spending more every year to keep up. So here at Hoboken, where I'm director, we now spend more on digital content than we do on print books. And what most people don't realize, though, however, is that libraries in general, as a public buyer, we have no say in the terms, the price, or even the access. And a handful of publishers set all that, and we either take it or we don't offer the book. So, in any other normal situation, when you have this much public money being spent on digital licenses, you would think that the buyer would have a say, but libraries have none. So, right now, in the New Jersey State Legislature, we have a bill that's been introduced by Senator Zwicker that's really trying to address this problem.
I'm sorry, you took the words out of my mouth because that was the next question. Why can't we have legislation to change all that? Because I would bet a lot of authors probably don't even realize that. Would you think? Because I'm thinking if an author knew that, they would say, "Hey, wait a second, no, 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 I grant permission." Because people want their books read, especially among people who maybe can't afford to buy it, right? Or kids. You want kids to read your books.
Absolutely. Libraries, authors, bookstores, we're part of this beautiful reading ecosystem. And you're correct, Ken. I believe that authors are operating with incomplete information because, again, this whole market is really being set by a handful of major publishers who put out the bestsellers, who, promote these authors, but also people want to read these authors. However, with the terms that are being sent, it's really making public libraries, not just here in New Jersey, but across the country, really challenged in serving the huge demand that we're seeing with these really unconscionable licensing terms.
And I'm imagining that publishers are going through what music labels went through 15 years ago. People can self-publish today, or they publish online. They don't need the old
Hmm.
traditional publishing houses. I mean,
Hmm.
granted, the publishing houses help in terms of marketing, but they don't
Absolutely.
provide right? They're not the end all be all that they were years ago. You had the big publishing houses, and if you didn't get picked up by one of them, you didn't have a book. But today, people publish online, and their books still get read. So I'm imagining this. It sounds like the death throes of the publishing houses trying to claw whatever cash they can. Am I reading into this correctly? You think?
You're right. The ecosystem has become much more diversified. That said, the big five publishing houses, now they're now down to five, really still exert tremendous influence in the market. And we see from our old holds list, this is when people place a hold when they want to read, like The Correspondent, which is super popular right now. Most of our holds across libraries in the country are still being published by those top big five. So they still exert a lot of influence and sway in the market.
I thought about this, and forgive me for not knowing I should know the answer to this, and I don't. When a new release comes out, say, I mean, I'm sure back in the day when you had the physical book and you had a certain number of those books, you had to wait until somebody returned the one of the 15 books or whatever. With the digital
Yeah.
license, are you limited to how many people can take it out at the same time?
Absolutely. And those limits are set by the terms that we have no one person at a time. And right now, how it works is that libraries license them for a year to two at max, or let's say 26 checkouts, whichever comes first. When that reaches that threshold, we have to relicense that again. So think of like a bathtub you're trying to fill with the drain wide open. That's exactly the situation that public libraries are happening with taxpayer dollars, which is why we're asking here in New Jersey, in Illinois, in Rhode Island and Connecticut of setting some reasonable parameters so then we can be good stewards of public dollars and deliver the content that our patrons and public demand.
Oh my God, Jenny, I'm so glad you're on talking about this because you could see my mouth as a gape off camera. I had no idea. And this is,
Mhm.
you just think it's one of those things you just think the library will always be there. But this must cost into the millions and millions and millions of dollars. And by the way, Hoboken Library is gorgeous. It's a beautiful, and you guys offer so many,
Thank you.
we've done shows on your library
Yes, you
before with
have.
some of
Thank you.
you have a beautiful library. And I'm one of those people who, my mother was a teacher. My mother-in-law was a teacher. I mentioned this earlier in the show. I'm in love with libraries. I still walk into a library and get that excitement and the smell of the books. And I think it's just it's a magical place. And every kid needs to get in there, and adults. So I thank you for what you do. What can people do if they want to support their library and help the legislators understand we need some work in Trenton?
Well, first, thank you for covering this issue because you're right. Most people don't realize this is happening. So I think what fundamentally people can do, visit their library, talk to the librarian, check out an ebook, actually, check out an audiobook, and you might be able to experience how long it takes to, say, get on a wait list. And that's not because the libraries don't want to purchase them. It's because the terms that are being set to us, we have no control over that. We have no negotiating power. So when the bill has been introduced in the Senate, once it gets introduced in the Assembly and we're going to have some committee hearings, we encourage the public to tune in, to ask questions, even ask their local library, like, how's it going with publishing these, with buying these ebooks? Because they'll hear across every single library, this is a common refrain, huge demand, terms that we can't negotiate. There really needs to be, some reasonable parameters so then you're not waiting weeks or months to read an e-title or an audiobook.
I'm with you. Amen to that. Please tell us the website for the Hoboken Public Library as well, please, Jenny.
Sure, Ken. It's hobokenlibrary.org.
All right. Hobokenlibrary.org. And visit your library. And if you're in the Hoboken area, visit the Hoboken Public Library, which is fantastic. Jenny Pugh, director of the
Thank you.
Hoboken
Please
Public
do.
Library. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, and come back again, please.
We'd love to. Thank you, Ken.
You bet. Have a great day. It is 8:28 right now. When we come back, a homegrown New Jersey success story that has gone national, a luxury getaway for your pet. We're coming right back. Good morning. It's Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, 59 degrees northern New Jersey, 62 degrees in Trenton. I'm Ken Rosato, and welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. It's mostly cloudy and breezy today. We're going to have temps upper 70s, maybe hitting 80. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Most importantly, Mike, did you feed Nino?
I gave him a hunk of Parmigiano Reggiano. That should keep him busy for the next 10 minutes because that's what he wants.
Only an Italian-American baby gets a hunk of Parmigiano at 8:31 in the morning. He's 15 months?
Yeah. Today's the 31st. Today. Yep.
Uncle Ken. Leave it to Uncle Ken to know this stuff. I'll keep you. I got you. Don't worry about it, Mike. I got you. Anyway, I'll let you know when your anniversary is too. So I can't believe it's going to be in the upper 70s today, and thank the good baby Jesus. I am so happy. I can't even tell you. Could you tell by the glow on my face?
It's hot outside already. It's hot. I took a stroll outside to get the delivery, and it feels muggy and warm, and it's like, wow, it's going to be nice today. Yeah, we are on our way for the crocuses are blooming. It lets you know that April is around the corner, and after a really, really wacky start to the month of March, now we see March exit like a lamb, and it'll feel very lamb-like, especially down at the shore, with that southwesterly breeze pushing temperatures on the beach into the upper 60s today. Usually that's not the case. This time of year, you get that wind off of the water, it feels like the 40s, but inland, well inland, low 80s west of the Parkway. So lots of beautiful weather to enjoy. You can hear it in my voice. Allergies, a little bit of a problem, especially for the tree pollen. That has hit the moderate level and is only going to climb over the next several weeks. So with today's high climbing into the 70s, again, probably getting into the 80s in most spots. The record is 85 from 1998 at Newark Airport. I don't think we'll get that hot, but it will be a warm finish now that the sun will be out for most of the day. And those rain chances are primarily limited to tomorrow, especially throughout tomorrow afternoon. As we look ahead to tomorrow, very high chance of rain scattered throughout the day, specifically central and southern parts of New Jersey. It turns dry for Friday with just clouds by Thursday. And then Saturday, see some cloudy weather with some breaks of sun. But Sunday afternoon, best chance of seeing some wet weather return. So as far as the Northeast is concerned, you see most of these showers come in later tomorrow along a cold front. And then the front kind of stalls across New Jersey, lingers, giving us those chances of rain into tomorrow evening. Thursday turns drier, but it's still cloudy. Friday clears out beautifully. And then Saturday might start off with some breaks of sun, but quickly goes gray as the weekend finishes on a wet note. I think we start off Easter Sunday dry, but quickly turn wet by the afternoon. But look at these highs in the low 70s throughout Friday and Saturday. Really pretty weather ahead. And then into next week, we dip down one day by Monday, but I think we rebound quickly with the warmer weather. So we are setting our sights on a solid start to spring. Beautiful weather ahead going into next weekend.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It is a comfortable 60 degrees right now, northern New Jersey. 62 in Trenton. We look at some of the issues going on the roadways, and we have a debris spill on 295 southbound south of exit 67, US 1 in Lawrence. The right lane and the right shoulder are closed. On the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur, we have a crash now reported northbound north of interchange 15E 1 and 9 in Newark with the left lane blocked. We have a crash on 676 southbound north of exit 5, Route 537 in Camden, right lane and right shoulder closed there. Disabled tractor trailer now reported on the New Jersey Turnpike, I-95 express lanes northbound north of exit 71, Route 4, Broad Avenue, Englewood, all lanes open to traffic, and that is near the GWB. So now let's talk about the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln and Holland both reporting 40 minutes in. GWB upper and lower is 45 to 50 minutes in. Take a look at this slow go. Oh my gosh, it stopped. Upper level on the left, lower on the right. Just an absolute mess. I bet you it's beyond 50 minutes now. They're telling us 45 to 50. So if you're heading into Manhattan, please pack your patience. Take mass transit. That's your best option today. It is 8:35 right now, and it's a New Jersey success story, one that has gone national from a single location to a rapidly expanding franchise. K9 Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel is redefining what pet care can look like. Jason Parker and Stephen Parker are co-founders of K9 Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel. Good morning, gentlemen. And what a coincidence that you two guys became business partners and you're not even related. I'm kidding.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. So for the record, you're brothers, just so that everybody, you never know these days. I had to ask our director, and I said, please confirm that they are brothers. And she did. So I appreciate that. So when did you first decide to open a pet resort, and what was the impetus behind that?
So in 1999, Jason and I were teenagers. We loved dogs, always wanted a dog. Our parents wouldn't give us a dog. We started a dog walking company, and that led us to found K9 Resorts in 2005.
I love it. It's simple, right to the point. Parents wouldn't let us have a dog. So many of us have that story. And they're like, oh, really? I'll show you. That's awesome. And I'm sure they've laughed to this day, I'm sure, if they're with us still, of the fact that you now have a multi-billion-dollar business by taking care of dogs. So you've gone from one location into a nationally recognized brand. And yes, I did do the research. 48 open now, 170 units in development across 28 states. Do I have that right?
That sounds right. Yes, absolutely.
See, I want to be a partner in this. What were some of the biggest challenges that you guys have had in scaling the business? Because so many people have a great concept, don't know how to get it to be that. That is huge.
Yeah, I would say the challenges kind of evolved over, the time that we developed the business. In the beginning, some of the challenges were finding the right franchise owners, someone who's going to operate the business to our standards, to provide the level of care that we had always dreamed of. We've been able to do that. We're very selective about who we allow into the system, and we've got a great group of people right now. Now, I would say some of the challenges most recently are in real estate. It's finding available real estate in the demographics that we're looking for to make the location successful.
So here, now that's the happy story and the good story about the way you have the proper approach, the luxury approach to pets, because people today don't regard their pets as pets. They're their children, right? I mean, you have many people without children today, without human children, and they do regard their dogs and their cats, and I'm sure you do both, right? You take care of cats too if they want, yes?
No, just dogs.
Good. So you're after my own heart because I only had dogs. Okay. So let's rewind that. Nobody will see that. No, we're live. But yes, like I said, you take care of dogs. So let me share a horror story. And by the way, everybody, this is not K9 Resorts. This is a different thing we're talking about. When I was at Channel 7 in New York, as an anchor, one of my co-anchors used to leave her dog with her vet, who had a care facility for people who were clients there, to leave their animals with the vet, and they had a 24-hour person to watch the animals in the facility. Lo and behold, my friend left her Shih Tzu with the vet. The vet had a young woman watching the animals overnight who let her boyfriend and his pit bull in. And I'll let you figure out what happened next. Several animals got destroyed. That is the nightmare, I think, in the back of the minds of some people who are afraid of relinquishing the care of their animal to somebody. So what do you tell, and let me say again, K9 Resorts is not this place, but for people who have horrors in their minds like that, and by the way, they changed a law in New Jersey because of that incident. What do you tell people to give them confidence that, hey, when you send your dog to us, we treat your dog like you treat your dog?
Yeah, Ken, I think, unfortunately, that is sometimes the reality with our industry. And there's been instances like that where people don't take the responsibility of caring for someone's pet or someone's family members, we like to say, as seriously as we would like. So we have trained and certified staff. We make sure that everyone is a true animal lover who works for K9 Resorts. We have an impeccable track record of 21 years, founded right here, as you mentioned, in the state of New Jersey. And we make sure that we start with animal lovers. We provide them with industry-leading training and certification. And that's the reason why we're able to deliver the experience. We like to say a 5-star experience, love and fun included.
I love it. I love it. And you guys, as you said, you built this business in New Jersey. Where in New Jersey did you start out?
So we
You were born
started in our home. We were born and raised in Scotch Plains. Went to the school system there, and opened the first resort in Fanwood, New Jersey, which is very close, right next door to Scotch Plains.
Beautiful, beautiful. So good New Jersey guys, and we're seeing more and more people today. I'm sure with dogs, and I'm sure that this is why this is growing so quickly. And I know that people don't want to just move to a town and say, well, I wonder where I could leave my dog. So the idea of having a nationwide organization of locations like you have, potentially up to 170 when all is said and done here in the next year, that have that same mentality. This is a safe place, a luxury place for your animal. This is not, we treat them like family. I think that's the key so that people can be relaxed to know that they'll have that same quality of care, whether they're in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, or in LA. Is that the goal of the organization, of your company?
That's 100% the goal. We have a location in Scotch Plains. We have a location in LA, and I hope that I know that it's the same quality coast to coast. That's the point of a franchise, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So that if I walk, just like if I can use the term McDonald's, if I walked into a McDonald's in New York or in LA, I know that a Big Mac is going to taste like a Big Mac. And when people walk into Canine in New Jersey or in Chicago, they should know that they're going to get that same exact treatment. They could use the same terminology, and you could bring them up in the system. Am I assuming that if somebody brings their dog to one location, that there'll be a linked computer record so they can go to another location in the franchise?
So we're working on that right now with our technology partners, but that is the goal, so that if you do go to Scotch Plains and you end up in Chicago on a family trip, you can absolutely check your dog in and have nothing to worry about. Right now, we can do that manually for you to help the client out, but that is the goal, to have technology kind of do that for you.
I love it. I love it. And having been a dog owner for years and years and years, two very feisty Pomeranians, I might add, it's just nice to know that something like your organization, like your company exists. What's a website for people to check you out?
www.k9resorts.com, the letter K, the number 9, resorts.com. And Ken, from one Italian American, I'm assuming, to another, you may have given me an idea today. We have to do Parmigiano Reggiano cheese as a treat for dogs. New Jersey special.
Just if I gave my Pomeranians that, I would have to clean the house all day, but that's another story. Hopefully not other dogs. I love what you guys are doing. Jason Parker, Stephen Parker, brothers, co-founders of K9 Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel. K9 Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel, K9resorts.com. Thank you guys for coming on this morning. May you have 250 locations being built the next time we talk.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. All the best to both of you. It is. I love that. It's great. And it's reassuring, because one of the reasons why I lost both my dogs, and one of the reasons why we've been reticent to get another one, is we keep thinking every time we travel back and forth to Florida, where do we leave our dogs? So that's what you want. You want the confidence and the comfort level of knowing somebody who treats your dog not as chattel and puts them up in a case somewhere, but someone who treats them like it's a luxury resort. That's what you want. So I hope they do great. Fantastic. We're coming back to talk about Women's History Month. This is the last day of Women's History Month. The former New Jersey regional president of PNC Bank shares her journey from educator to corporate leader. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 846. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
You know, Mike, our director, Pam, is always so happy and chipper because she likes it when it's kind of Nanook of the North temperature-wise. You know, she likes it cold. I have never heard somebody sound so depressed. I think the last time I was as depressed as she sounds today was when they told me I couldn't eat cannolis for a month.
No,
Yeah,
no. Well, you
happened
can take
once.
your cannoli to the bank, Ken. You see what I did there? I'm excited about our next guest. I'm very excited about our next guest because I've been a PNC customer since the beginning of time, business
Me
and
too.
checking accounts. Yes, yes, love their products. So I'm looking forward to the interview, right?
Hmm. Yes, that's
Today's
coming
weather
up. Just
brilliantly boring. You like what I did there? Brilliantly boring this afternoon. It's looking beautiful all across New Jersey. Lots of sunshine today, all throughout Hackensack, down through Jersey City, and even Newark at 79 degrees. Lots of sunshine today. So yes, Ken can take his cannoli to go, dine al fresco, because the weather looks fantastic all across the New Jersey today, and even across the Northeast. Into the next few weeks, however, there are higher chances of rain, and we see those chances of rain going into tomorrow with another round of wet weather by the afternoon. Today is dry, however. All of that warmth spreads across the country into the middle of the month, so we have higher than average temperatures expected, even for the next several days. We should be in the 50s to start off this next week and the first week of April. We'll be in the 70s going into the weekend. It cools off a little bit by next week, but even still, with a few chances of rain, primarily tomorrow, then cloudy by Thursday. We're dry on Friday and Saturday, but Sunday afternoon for Easter might have some wet weather. Down the shore cools off a little bit. Overall, it's looking pretty good and feeling like spring, Ken.
all right. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Spring, it's good in terms of weather. In terms of
Yeah,
traffic, take a look at what
not
Pam
so good.
has for us. Yeah. And by the way, oh, we should mention, could you bring Mike back?
What
Sorry.
happened?
Hi, Mike. I
Hi.
forgot to remind everybody, tomorrow we're going to have the Artemis astronauts on from
Yes.
NASA. We're going to tape them
Mm-hmm.
in an hour, and I'm all excited. I wore my good pinstripe jacket for them. Not that they're going to see, but nonetheless, so that's going to be on tomorrow morning right here at On New Jersey, ONNJ.com. If you don't have it, tell your friends you need it. I have no idea what that means because everybody has it. But thank you, Mike. Enjoy the day. We'll catch you tomorrow.
You too.
All right. Maybe I just need more coffee or less coffee. All right. Let's take a look at temperatures. First of all, 62 degrees northern New Jersey, 62 in Trenton right now. And look at this mess we have on 495. This is the approach of the Lincoln Tunnel. So we're looking at the approach right now facing west, coming east, and it is bumper to bumper for 4 miles right now. Do you hear me? This is due, yep, this, and you see the bus lane, the dedicated bus lane not moving. So people who normally take that thinking they'll get in faster, not so much today. This is an absolute nightmare. And this is as a result of an accident. We have a crash. 495 eastbound Kennedy Boulevard, North Bergen. The two left lanes are blocked. We don't know how long this is going to take, but right now they're telling us that it is going to be at least 45 to 50 minutes. I think it's longer than that. That's what they're telling us. So if you were headed to the Lincoln, turn around, go to the Holland. That's the best bet right now. That's going to cost you. Look at that. Oh, this is the turnaround. Pam got me on that. So this is the a different angle of the camera right now, showing us the traffic trying to move in from the opposite direction. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So just be aware of that. The Holland Tunnel approach, by the way, to the GW to yeah. I'm sorry, Pam is just pointing out that's the stop truck. That's what's causing the delay. Once you get past that truck, you get to the Helix. The Helix is up front there, just a mile ahead, and it takes you into the Lincoln Tunnel. That's fine, but that truck right there is what's causing the delay that goes 4 miles behind, right back to Route 3, where Route 3 and 495 mix. Okay. Over the Holland Tunnel, that's your better bet, by the way. That's only going to cost you 35 to 40 in. GWB upper and lower, very, very heavy, but still better than what you're getting at the Lincoln. GWB, excuse me, is about 45 minutes in right now. It is 8:51, and on this final day of Women's History Month, we welcome a woman who built an amazing career in banking and business leadership. Linda Bowden Sims served as the New Jersey regional president of PNC Bank until she retired about 5 years ago in 2021. But her journey started in a very different place. She was a teacher in Wyckoff, where she also authored children's math books before transitioning into banking. She's been recognized as one of the 25 women to watch by US Banker and has appeared on the NJ Biz Best 50 Women in Business and Power 100 list. We say good morning, Linda Bowden Sims. Good to have you on.
May I begin by saying,
Go
can you hear
ahead.
me?
I lost your voice for a second. I got you now. Go right ahead.
Okay. I just want to begin by saying, as a dog lover, how much I enjoyed your last segment. I was smiling and particularly enjoyed your questions. So thank you for
Well,
that.
thank you. Some people would say Pomeranians are not real dogs, but I beg to differ.
Oh, they're darling.
I'm
Dogs.
6'3", 185 pounds, carrying these two fluffy little Pomeranians around. They rule the roost. Let me just tell you that much. But I
I
love
bet
your
they do.
history. I love your background. I love your history. My mother was an educator. My mother-in-law was a teacher, and I'm so honored to have you on. So, what inspired that first chapter of your professional life, teaching in Wyckoff?
Well, I think there were a couple of things, and it's a great question. I grew up at a time in the 50s and 60s where that's what little girls aspired to, teaching, nursing. There really weren't a lot of other pathways. We are, as you mentioned earlier, on the last day of Women's History Month, and it's easy to forget that the opportunities that exist today for women, that's recent history. Really, that wasn't the case for many, many years. And I was the kind of little girl who played school all the time, and I just always wanted to be a teacher. And I did teach for 7 years, and as I've said many times, it's hard to think of a more noble profession.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then you took that career, everything you learned from that, right? And then you parlayed that into a career in banking. Now you were clearly a math whiz because you wrote math books, that's a whole other show. We could do a whole show on how you write math books. But you took that and you turned it into banking. How did you turn it into banking?
Well, first of all, there's probably a disclaimer here. Remember, the math books were for first and second graders. So I'm not certain.
Okay.
I think you might be giving me a little too much credit, but nonetheless, it was a fun and challenging endeavor. I loved teaching. I loved seeing those eyes light up. But I think at that stage in my career, it wasn't really a meritocracy. You could work very, very hard and you'd get the same raise, usually fairly low, as the teacher next door to you. So from my perspective, I guess I was looking for something that would be a bit more challenging and frankly allow us to build a bit more of some kind of financial nest egg. So I did start going for an MBA maybe like 6 years into teaching. I went at night and I have to tell you, I didn't know a stock from a bond. I didn't know really anything about the financial world. So many Sunday nights when I had all this homework to do and didn't understand what it was. I remember that tremendous anxiety of, gosh, have I made the right decision? Am I doing the right thing here? But as always in life, you hang in there, you persevere. And I was able to get one of my teaching colleagues and good friends. Her husband was a president of a small bank in New Jersey, and he said, "Hey, listen, come in for an interview. See what you think. See what you think of us." And I went in thinking to myself, if they ask me any questions, anything specific about finance, I'm still too green. I still don't have a clue. And luckily, the gentleman who interviewed me, very nice man, he talked through the entire interview. So I didn't have to really say much of
As men will
anything.
do. As men
I
will
know.
do.
Well, I think we all are guilty of that, Ken, from time to time. But all of a sudden, he said to me, "Okay, if we decide to hire you, let me introduce you to your new boss." And I again remember thinking, this is it. This is where they find out what an imposter I really am. This gentleman walked in and he said, "I have a very important question for you. This is going to determine whether you get this job." And I took a deep breath and he said, "Do you drink beer?" And that was the question because in those days, everyone would leave at 5 o'clock and go down to the bar and So I did get the job. And truthfully, on a very serious note, I spent 3.5 years there. I learned a tremendous amount, but I was always so anxious. I was always so anxious that I didn't know enough. And it was a terrible way to be. I mean, I had given, I'm retired now, as you know, but when I was working, I was in banking for 40 years. I gave a lot of talks to women, especially in March during Women's History Month. And we talked a lot about that imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're not good enough, you really don't know what you should know, and it's just a matter of time until people find you out. And I did kind of live with that for the first several years of my career, as a matter of fact. And to give you a sense, Ken, of what it was like for women in that particular bank, it was a small bank, about $1 billion and in assets, a small regional bank, which has since been sucked up into so many larger banks. But there was an officer's dining room, and women were not allowed. And there were very few female officers, but women were not allowed in because they felt that the women would be too distracting for the men. And that's a true story. And so again, it really, yeah. And those were also the days when women were told we weren't going to get the same raise because we weren't supporting a family. So we had to understand that our raises were not going to be the same as men. It was a very different time, and that was 1980.
I thought you were going to say,
yeah.
I'm thinking, because 1980. Listen.
Yeah.
We're down to like 40 seconds, and this merits an entire show. Because these are I'm serious. This merits an entire show. We will do that, by the way, because I think every young person, but especially every young lady, every young woman, needs to hear the journey and respect what you did to pave the way for women today. So we will have you back on, please, if you don't mind. Former educator, author, former New Jersey regional president of PNC Bank, Linda Bowden Sims, you are a hero to me and to many people. Thank you for being with us this morning, and please come back soon.
Ken, thank you. And thank you for all you're doing too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And that's it for On New Jersey Mornings. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, starting at 7 a.m. Don't forget the Artemis astronauts will be with us tomorrow. Take care.